In the meantime, it always feels that it's a little bit earlier every single year that we see things like, Santa Claus, of course, in the local shops. It's October. We always see that just after Christmas, hot cross buns will reappear, and you go, well, hang on, it's not even Australia Day, let alone getting anywhere near Easter. Well, mark it in your calendars now. The 27th of October is when we are starting to talk again about the cancellation of Australia Day. Now, normally, councils make decisions on this because they want to side with the Invasion Day worldview as opposed to the celebration of the modern national country that they, of course, are empowered by, the system of government that they are in charge of, and the citizenry that celebrate the great freedoms that we have regardless of whether you grew up here or whether you came here. But there is a new reason to cancel Australia Day. Enter the Hills Shire Council in northwestern Sydney. They have decided to bin the big Australia Day events because of COVID. Literally, New South Wales will reopen to the rest of the world from the start of December. There will be no difference between the vaxxed and the unvaxxed. COVID is in the rearview mirror. The Bathurst 1000 will be in the first weekend of December and will have 10,000 people at it. There will be 5 full days of full crowds at the SCG in January, but the Hills Shire Council has voted not to return the Australia Day celebrations for their shire because of COVID. Now, amazingly, one of the councillors who voted not to bring it back said, "We would all love an Australia Day event if it was 4 or 3 years ago, but no one can guarantee the restrictions will be sufficiently low that we could definitely hold this event." This is a council area with 95% of its citizens who have had both doses of the vaccine. They literally don't publish numbers higher than that. They are at the front of the queue amongst the state that is at the front of the queue for the most vaxxed population in the country. That is literally a higher rate than any other country around the world, 95%. Yet it's not enough to convince them to carry on as normal. It is not enough for them to suggest that Australia Day should be in full bloom after being cancelled due to COVID the previous year in their shire. But they're not the only ones. Geelong is also going to hide behind the cover of COVID as a reason to not have the full Australia Day in 2022. Meantime, the Surf Coast, which of course involves areas like Torquay, they are also stopping Australia Day celebrations. But their claim is that they'll be doing it because it is disrespectful to Indigenous peoples. According to the local radio station, from next year, the council will no longer participate in celebratory events, while Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander flags will fly at half-mast on January 26. And then there's Melbourne City Council, the second biggest capital in the country. There is a big question mark over what's going to be happening there with Australia Day. You see, last night they voted in their council for a special resolution, a resolution that recognised the dispossession of Indigenous peoples, and therefore, you would suggest, is a statement of, on the 26th of January, is it Australia Day or is it Invasion Day? These are the same people who cancelled Australia Day parades but allowed people to march for Invasion Day. Now, according to the reporting in the Herald Sun today, the Mayor and the Chief Executive of the Council will sign a declaration of recognition and commitment on the behalf of the municipality's residents after a council meeting backed the move this week. One person on Melbourne City Council wasn't having any of it and spoke up for common sense. Rashina Campbell could see what was happening here. If that's the case, it would prevent us from celebrating Australia Day or compel us to support Invasion Day. Those are not decisions that I would support. Now, I know that for many this is a tired conversation about changing the date and getting annoyed about whether Australia Day is recognised or not. But who the hell voted in the council elections just a few months ago in Victoria, where anyone on the ballot was telling them that Australia Day would be cancelled? Local government elections are coming up later this year in New South Wales. Will anyone be on the ballot in, say, the Hills Shire Council saying no to Australia Day in 2022? Or do they just say, we're standing up for local values, we're independent candidates, we're non-political, vote for us because we love the Shire, and then when they actually get the power, they hide behind the cover of COVID to cancel Australia Day? Now, the council claims that if they had to cancel, they could do $450,000. Well, I'm willing to bet you that Australia Day will be in full operation next year. It should be in full operation in Hills Shire Council, a council that, I repeat, has the highest vaccination rate in the world, where the Premier is well and truly not going to be reaching for lockdowns anytime soon. It is the Victorian Premier who is searching for new lockdown powers, ones that the media will let him pass with a dirty deal because they are distracted by the nonsense of tennis players next year. This is one of those days where you have to follow the bouncing ball at the low level, because this is where decisions are being made. If you have any opportunity in New South Wales to meet someone running for council, could you ask them what their view of Australia Day is? Ask them what their view of an Australia Day celebration is, and vote accordingly.